In the book, One River, Many Wells, Matthew Fox shares a story about a workshop he conducted in the Philippines, where he encouraged 250 participants to create an I am poem, appropriate to the Filipino experience. This is a portion of that group poem. I am the sunrise that brightens up the sky in the early morning. I am the rays of sun that give radiance to every creature during the sunrise at Manila Bay. I am the fire that kindles the stars and the stars in your eyes. I am the white sand kissed by the bubbling waves of the blue seas. I am the fresh smell of the rice fields. I am the trunk of a talstay tree, standing amidst the polluted and overpopulated areas. I am the sturdy bamboo that sways unbroken by strong winds. I am the sweat of an oppressed people. I am the smile on the lips of a fallen comrade. I am the tears of a mother in pain. I am the color of the rainbow that gives hope. I am the forlorn trees resisting extinction. I am the Filipino soul struggling to be free. I am what I am, the holy God of the universe, who is all, in all, under all, over all, all.
And simple gifts, don't you love that? I just love that idea of simplicity. Sometimes we don't pay a lot of attention to what's right in front of us. We forget that it is a gift, that it is a beautiful gift from life. Albert Einstein had some really wonderful things to say, didn't he, spiritually speaking, even though he was this great scientist. And what he said was this: there are two ways that we can live. One way is that as though nothing is a miracle, and the other way is as if everything was a miracle. Guess what I want to do? Living a joyful, miraculous life can be simple if we do that. If we recognize that we truly are divine and learn to focus on what it is we do have and enjoy that. When we remember to delight in those simple, ordinarily daily gifts that life bestows upon us. Maybe it's getting out of bed and coming to service on a Sunday morning. Sometimes that feels like a gift, doesn't it, Susie? It really does. When we're not able to do something and then we can, what a gift from life. Maybe for you it's a beautiful sunrise, or the touch of a loved one, or laughter, or singing or hearing a song that makes your soul dance. Maybe it's waking up and appreciating the fact that you just took a breath and that you intend to do that for the rest of the day. Maybe it's the freedom to choose how you're going to spend your day. Do you wake up and look at that sun and go, thank you, God. Thank you, life. It's shining so brightly and it's producing that serotonin, that brain chemical, right, that gives us that mood alter, that mood lift. The things we take for granted are sometimes those things that we miss the most when they're gone. And I think many of us understand and know that if we have lost someone to transition over the years, we remember those small things about them, don't we? Because they were very, very important. So remembering not to take life's gifts for granted in ordinary things will add a richness, adds a depth to our life. And the way we do that is by processing within, by watering those seeds within ourselves. Those seeds of love, of delight, of gratitude, of awe, recognizing and appreciating all those things that happen on a daily basis simply by the grace of God itself. And there are plenty of them. With the right mindset, those simple pleasures throughout the day can really add up. And I'm telling you, when you are in that place of gratitude, that place of appreciation, it can be just as good, if not better, than taking one of those weekend getaways where you feel like you have to leave, you have to go somewhere to relax and enjoy and get away from the hustle bustle. Well, if we change what we're focusing on, if we change what we're looking at and the way we look at it, we don't need to drive 100 miles. We can enjoy life right here, right now in this moment. Because when we start connecting those dots of all those small joys, life becomes fuller, it becomes more satisfying. And the more that we recognize and appreciate the simple things in our life, the more there is to be joyful and grateful about. Haven't you found that? There's a lot that goes right during our day. And sometimes we focus on the stuff that maybe isn't going right. And so that invitation is to shift your perception, shift your perspective. We have the opportunity to choose every single day to embrace the beauty? To embrace the beauty and the joy, or Judy, that's all around us. Don't be shocked if you get embraced after service. Robert Brault reminds us of this. To enjoy the little things, for one day you may look back and realize they were the big things. So, a really good way to start appreciating life and its little pleasures is to mindfully and consciously use your five senses. Be aware of them. And you're bound to notice more of those everyday miraculous gifts. And that naturally helps you develop more gratitude and more joy. Seeing miracles in what some people will call the mundane gives us a greater appreciation. Some examples. Use your sense of taste to savor the food. And be grateful that you have that food to nourish your body, while at the same time, you're enjoying an abundance of creative taste. The idea that you even can. When you hear music that touches your soul, be grateful there are so many different genres to listen to. Whatever mood you might be in, you can listen to whatever it is that is touching you. We can respond to other people's kind words by thanking them out loud. That way, when we do that, we're both blessed. We're both blessed by the sound of kindness, reaching out to one another. And then with that, we can be thankful that that particular person is even in our life to give us that bit of joy. Or your sense of touch. Run your fingers over or through maybe your child's or your partner's hair or your animal's fur. And feel the beauty and the love of that human touch, as well as the relationship that you have with that person or animal. Inhaling the aroma of flowers, they always say, right? Stop and smell the roses. Inhale the aroma of flowers when you're walking outside. And that will lead us to express our gratitude to nature and for the many ways that it can and will enrich our lives as we open up to it. We can consciously, out loud even, thank life, nature, for giving us something so beautiful to look at. Maybe it's a multicolored sunset. Maybe it's a forest with huge, enormous trees, and that allows us to walk in there and just become part of it. The really great thing about appreciating nature and appreciating all that's around us is after a while we don't have to consciously even remind ourselves anymore, because it becomes a habit for us. It becomes a habit to be in that state of gratitude. And we then will become so comfortable with using our senses, with appreciating our senses, and our sight, our sound, our smell, feeling, and flavor tends to remind us of all things divine. Because we're then honoring the idea that it is all one as it comes together. When you do that, you start to acquire a new perspective. And maybe when you see a stranger walk past you, you see the divine in them. You see them just a little differently. Or when you listen, or when you hear a bird, but you listen instead of just hear. It might just trigger something in you, again, reminding you of that oneness. Marveling in the simple gifts of life is something that we can choose to do or not. It's entirely up to us. However, when we do that, it does bring us closer to God, to Source, to all that is, to nature, to life, to one another. It connects us even more. There's a quote from the book Jesus, Buddha, Krishna, and Lao Tzu, and the author tells us this: when you touch one thing with deep awareness, you touch everything. How big is that? When you touch one thing with awareness, you touch everything. That just speaks so loudly to our connection to one another, to everything here on this beautiful planet. And as we look at life through fresh eyes, everything around us appears remarkable, appears divine. We fill ourselves then with that sense of awe and gratitude for the beauty of all things. And we do so with a great amount of wonder and love for this life that we have been gifted with. And make no mistake, we have been gifted with that precious human birth to be here on this planet with one another at this time. And when we open our eyes, when we open our hearts and our minds to the awareness of how the physical world and all of its expressions are animated by spirit, and remember that we too are spirit in expression, we can then fully recognize that fundamental divine connection that we have with all of life. One of the most vital qualities of our divine nature is the ability to feel an intimate spiritual connection. And I know that probably every single one of you in this room have felt that intimate spiritual connection with someone, with something, with words maybe, whatever. But to have that spiritual connection is such a gift. Without that connection, without a spiritual connection, we can become very self-absorbed. We can be hindered in our resilience and our adaptability as the world changes day to day, moment to moment, sometimes. Without that connection, we live in that illusion of separateness. Our relationship with nature is one of the divine simplicities that we often overlook. Very often overlook. Science and spirituality have not yet come together 100%. Do you agree with that? They're working on it, and they're coming close. It just isn't 100% yet. I read a story about a scientist and God. And this scientist approached God, and he said, "Look, God, we don't need you anymore. Nowadays, we do all sorts of things that at one point in time were considered miraculous. We can transplant organs. We can give life to a dying man. We can cure just about any disease. We can even clone animals. And you know what else, God? We are this close to being able to clone humans. So sorry, God, you're just kind of outdated. So God listened very patiently to this man, and he said, I see that you believe you don't need me anymore. And I get it, I understand. However, I don't want to see you make a big mistake. So why not, let's make sure. I say we have a man-making contest. Scientist is up for the challenge. He goes, all right, God, I'll take you on. We'll have a man-making contest. So God says, okay, let's do this. We're going to do it the way I did it in the old days, back with Adam and Eve. And the scientist said, hey, no problem. He reached down to scoop up a handful of dirt. And God looked at that man and he said, whoa, 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 hold on just a minute. You go get your own dirt. So, thank you. Sometimes we do forget, don't we, the power of the presence of life. In the ancient world, science and spirituality were understood, and they were understood to have that deep, intimate, subtle connection. It was all one. And historically, all of nature, the mountain, the seas, the sun, the moon, all of it was honored. And it's only as we moved away from that idea, dare I say, forgotten that idea, that our connection to nature began to really wane. It started to, we don't take such great care of our planet in all situations. And for that reason, it's essential for us to revive those attitudes and foster that connection with life, with nature, with one another. The goal of all the mystic paths, and we're reminded of that very same thing in both of these books that I'm working with, is to recognize our oneness with life, to recognize our oneness with life in everything in it. We're told by all of the spiritual teachers that we're one, and that we have to realize it, we have to be it, experience it. These have been the truths for thousands of years. These spiritual teachers have been telling us this. Krishna said this, I am the origin of all things. All things proceed from me. I am the source of all beings, and all beings exist with me. No being, whether moving or unmoving, can exist without me. Animate, inanimate objects, right? It's all God. It's all divine. Jesus said this, I am in everything. I uphold the heavens. I am the foundation which supports the planets. I am the light that shines everywhere, that gives joy to souls. It's all one and the same. Each, all, everything, it's all divine. And so our call, our work, is to make a conscious effort to perceive everything in life as part of the divine. Maybe that's seeing the divine in the person that you love, or smelling a flower, eating a delightful meal, watching a sunrise or a sunset, listening to the laughter of a child. Today, I invite you to look around with fresh eyes. Enjoy the beauty of the sunrise, the smile of a baby, a good friendship. Enjoy, appreciate and love whatever it is that is right in front of you. See it as the divine, and act as if you're experiencing it for the very first time. That's where that awe and that wonder and that joy comes from. And you'll find more of it as you shift your focus to those simple pleasures around you. You'll feel rich, you'll feel abundant, because you'll be one of those people who really takes the time to enjoy that small gift, that pleasure of life. Today is the perfect day to start intentionally enjoying the simple divine pleasures with a fresh new perspective. And I promise you, you'll have wonderful, miraculous days ahead of you. So thank you so much for being here while I shared this truth as I understand it.